Hey friends, welcome back to Hey friends, welcome back to Homeschool-ology. Today's the day. It is the 2K giveaway Q&A. So today's video, I'm going to be answering some questions that you guys submitted via either my YouTube community page or my Instagram page. I also posted it on Facebook, but I didn't get any questions over there. But I am also going to be sharing information on how you guys can enter to win a $30 Amazon gift card. I know we all have things in our Amazon cart that we're just waiting to buy, so I will have information about how to enter at the end of this video. But let's dive into the Q&A section. So our first question comes from Melody over at Homeschool Happy Hour. Love her channel. If you haven't checked it out, you should do so. But her question to me was, what is your favorite thing about homeschooling? Absolutely, without a doubt, the flexibility. So flexibility in when we start our days, when we end our days, how much we do in a day, what days we homeschool, where we homeschool, the flexibility of being able to take off time anytime we want to, which means we can take a day if we just need it for our mental health. We can take a week to go on a vacation in the off season when it's cheaper and when there are less people around, when the weather is nicer. The flexibility to be able to move at my children's pace, faster, slower, whatever they may need. The flexibility to make our situation work best for my children and our family. That is by far and away my favorite thing about homeschooling, is just being able to make it what works best for us. The next question is from Shauna over at Making Everyday Magic. Absolutely love watching her channel. If you haven't checked it out, please do so. And her question to me is, I'm going to read what she wrote. I know I'm constantly shocked at where I found myself homeschooling. How does the life you have compare to the life you envisioned? So, I never in a million years would have thought that we would have homeschooled. Did not. I was a public school kid. My mom homeschooled my sister for a year when she was in 7th grade. I was in college at the time to become a public school teacher, and was like, you're crazy. This is crazy. Never would have thought that this would have been the life that we had. Not in a million years. If you had asked me when I was, at any time before, even when my daughter was born, not until she was about 4 years old and we had to really start thinking about her education did homeschool even enter the realm of possibility. So my life was going to be, what I had envisioned was me going to school, picking my kids, bringing my kids with me. I taught at high school, so I would have picked them up from middle school and elementary school. But, getting off when my kids got off, us spending the afternoon together and, going to school the next day and having the summers off together. That's what I envisioned. And my life is definitely, I'm with them all the time, guys. They are here. We are here. We are going and doing, and all times of the year, not just the summer. And it is completely different. I never thought I would have been here, but I am so happy that we chose to homeschool our children. It started off as just a 1 year. We were going to do it for 1 year, and we haven't stopped. That was 9 years ago, and we are still chugging along and still loving every minute of it. So the next one comes in from Digital Homeschooler on Instagram, and they asked, are you planning to homeschool through high school graduation or something different? Just curious. I feel like I'm in the minority sometimes for homeschooling all the way to the end. I feel you on this one. I do plan to homeschool all the way through. I do plan to homeschool until my kids no longer wish to homeschool. So if they choose to go to public school at any point, then we will explore that possibility together. But so far, none of my children have even asked about it. One time, my middle daughter contemplated it for like half a day. And then we really started to talk about, what that meant. And she immediately was like, nope, not for me. Now, if my children decide that they do want to go to high school, we do have public school friends, maybe they want to go to school with them, then that's something we'll talk about at that point. But I do not plan to put them in school if I can help, like if it were up to me, if I didn't consider what they wanted, they would not go to school at all, public school at all. But that I don't want to take any choice away from them. If they want to do it, they will, but we do not have plans to send our kids to school. So you are not alone. We might be the minority, but you are not alone for sure. We have no plans of putting them into school, public school. Okay, next question comes from a fellow Niki over at Blessed Homeschool Mess. She also has a channel here and started a podcast with another homeschooler that I love, Ashley from Gather and Grounded. It's Two Homeschool Moms. So if you haven't checked out their podcast, you should totally check it out. They're here on YouTube, but anywhere you can listen to podcasts. And I just love listening to them chat. I feel like I'm sitting down and chatting with two friends, But anyways, her question to me was, what is your biggest struggle in homeschool? And that is going to have to be consistency. Consistency is really hard for me in general, just in life in general, but homeschooling really does require some consistency, and I'm really bad at it. I set schedules, I set routines, I try my hardest to try to be consistent, and I'm just simply not. And so that is something that I am trying to work on, because my children do I can see that my children want more consistency, or they need more consistency. And so it's something that I am trying to work on, and by setting, better schedules, and maybe I might have to start doing things on, timed, setting alarms and starting at certain times and things like that to just kind of work on our consistency. But I'm really bad at it. We just really bad at it. Bad. Okay, next comes from Happily a Harmon, from Lauren. She's on Instagram. She asked, what do you do with your littles when you are working with your olders? So, sometimes, I'm going to be flat out honest, my littles are on screens while I'm working with my older ones, just simply because it can entertain them. So that might mean that they're watching a movie or playing on their games on their Switches or something. But when they're not on screens, I try to do things like, especially for like my little ones, like toddlers and pre-Kers who, screens might not entertain them for very long. Having things like sensory bins, which can either be like rice or beans or water, they have to be within but, eyesight. I couldn't think of that word for some reason. But things like magnetiles, or just like setting up some kind of activity for them to work on, or while we're working, that's nearby. Sometimes just having them, letting them be close to you can be helpful. They'll be happier because they're close to you, and it's just, they'll be less interruptive if they have something that they're doing. So that's typically what I try to do with my littles. But also like things like, so I have 2 olders and 2 littles. And so sometimes like when I'm working with one of my older daughters, I'll have the other daughter, maybe read a book to the little ones, or, play a game with the little ones or something. And then we'll swap the bigger girls, and they'll read a book, or they'll play a game, or they'll do something with them. So just making sure that you have an activity. And sometimes that activity is simply just having them at the table with you with a coloring book and some markers. washable markers. My kids love markers. They're not super into crayons, but all my kids love markers. And so I just make sure that we have a bucket of washable, everything's washable. And those ones, I forget what they're called, the Color Wonder or whatever. Those are really good too, especially for like your really young toddlers, like, 18 months to, 2.5. Those are really good to have on hand too. But sensory bins, things like that, things for them like cutting activities once they get a little bit older, or tracing activities. We have the like letter wooden pieces from Handwriting Without Tears, and so I'll have a lot of times I would have my daughter like work on building her letters while we were doing school, but just sometimes letting them be at the table working on something while you're working with the other ones keeps them entertained well enough. So that is what I do with my littles. This video has been on my like to-do list for a really long time, and I just need to go ahead and make that. So I'll try to make that soon. I'm about, at this point, my littles are not so little anymore, and they are doing school while my others are doing school. So I need to make that video soon. But anyways, moving on to the next question. This one is asked to be anonymous. So what does a typical week look like for you as a homeschool and working mom? So for me, I spend my time with my kids during the day, and then I work in the evening. So that means that we are late risers around here. So I typically wake up somewhere between 8 and 9-ish, sometimes 9:30, and work on answering questions or comments that I had on my social media, or just like checking in on my social media, or just kind of like hanging out and spending some time just, hanging out with me in the mornings. And then we start our days typically between 9 and 10. So and then once we start our days, I'm typically working on, being with my children, cleaning the house. I like to come down and clean in the mornings. I feel like I just have more energy then. So like I'll tidy in the mornings, then do homeschool, or typically we don't do homeschool until after lunch. So we'll make lunch and then homeschool. And that typically takes us to, maybe a few hours to right when dad gets home, a few hours before or right when dad gets home, depending on how much we're doing that day or how early or late we get started. And then dinner. And then family time. My husband takes my little or two to bed between like 8:30, 9:30, somewhere in there. He does bedtime with them. And my older kids have a later bedtime because we do get up later. So they are up until their bedtime is 10. They have to go to their rooms at 10. And they can do whatever they, I don't make them go to sleep. But they have to be in their rooms and they can't come out. And so that is kind of like my schedule during the day. Now, if there are things that I have to do during the day, I will fit those in and get those done, like answering emails or filming. I try to film during the day. It didn't happen today. I didn't get it during the day today. It's dark now, but I fit it in when I can fit it in. But I do try to film during the day. I typically try to film in the mornings before my children get up, but that, it happens when it happens, and school happens somewhere in that afternoon hours usually. And then once all of my children have gone to bed, so around 10 o'clock is when I, start doing my work. And that might be on the computer. It might be getting ready for a baking class. There's lots of things that I do because I teach baking classes, if you don't know that. And then I run this channel, and I also run a co-op, or I'm the chair of a co-op. So it's not just me, it's a whole bunch of us work together to run that co-op. But so I kind of have like these 3 little jobs that I do on the side. And so whatever it is, I typically just work better on like 1 job per night. So that's typically how I work. But it's not necessarily I don't have, as I explained earlier, I'm terrible at consistency. So I don't have it like Monday nights I do this job and Tuesday nights I do that job. It's just like whatever requires my attention at the time. That's kind of what I work on. And so that is what I will work on in the evenings. Typically, somewhere between midnight and 2 a.m. is when I go to bed. And then I start all over. And it's typically like that all during the week. And then Saturdays and Sundays, I try to make sure I have all of my work done so that I can work, devote my time to my children. Except Sunday nights, I typically get ready for our co-op, which is on Monday because I teach classes there. So that is typically what my day/week looks like. Yeah. So, and my final question that I think I'm going to answer, because this video is we're already at, I think, close to 15 minutes here, depending on what I edited out. But this is another anonymous question, and it's, what's your favorite resource for yourself as a homeschool mom? So for me, this one I might have to think about. I think I'm going to go with something kind of general and say my computer, because that is definitely what I use the most as a homeschool mom. And whether that be like researching curriculum or using it to actually use curriculum, implement curriculum, or like, using it for this homeschool community here on Facebook. Nope, this is YouTube. Or like, watching other YouTube moms and doing, seeing what they do. I'm going to say that one because I feel like that's one I use the most, and I wouldn't be able to do homeschool very well without. So it's kind of like an easy, answer, but I think that's going to be what I'm going to say there for that one. So, as promised, I'm going to give you guys information now on how to enter the giveaway. So please enter this emoji down in the comments here, and you will be entered to the giveaway. So I'm just going to randomly select a comment from down below and give that person, I'll contact that person. Let's see, I think this is going up on the 5th. So I'll probably end the giveaway on Friday the 9th, most likely. So that is going to be it for me today. If I missed anything, let me know down in the comments. If you want to answer any of these questions down in the comments yourself, I'd love to chat with you guys down there. Thank you again to all of those who submitted questions, and I think I'm going to wrap it up. So I hope you guys will come back and chat with me again soon, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.